Well, welcome back.
We're back for round 2.
Episode 2.
Come on.
Now let's show a highlight reel of all the things we've done so far. No, let's not do that.
That first episode went off. Can't believe it went viral.
That's right.
That's amazing.
I can't believe I didn't wear all my gold chains.
I was a bit disappointed because you rolled up in your big EV.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would look at where we are now?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So hopefully you are listening to this because you enjoyed episode 1, which we unpacked this idea. Well, let me introduce, if you haven't though, Ralph.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Ralph.
I'm Ralph. This is Steve.
I'm Steve. And yeah, we in episode 1, we explored why plant.
Yep.
If you could summarize it, what do you think the essence of that episode was, in case someone's just catching up?
No, like in a sentence or two, the reason why you plan is because God calls you to, but you shouldn't be limited by the either ways you've done church or ways you think church should be done. You should really have the courage to step into what God's calling you to do and see what God does with it in that space and realize it's a God thing that you're partnering with God in, as opposed to a thing that you have to carry because you're the church planter.
Fantastic. I think I finished the episode, or I won't say when I said it, but at one point I explained it having a red hot crack.
Yeah, that's good.
And so
it's
you
about the 26-minute mark, I reckon.
Yeah, yes. Right smack back in the middle.
I have no idea.
So if people are curious what on earth I meant by that, go have a listen to episode 1. And so today we want to, and I think this is important because the question's going to be, what is the church?
Yep.
But what I think is really important when we've got 2 pastors sitting here talking about these things, and I know I haven't spoken to you about this, Ralph, but I know you would agree, and tell me if you don't, you're here in the room. Our goal is not, when we talk what is the church, we're not trying to answer that, go solved, no episode, no one ever needs to talk about what the church is again.
Yeah, that's right.
Rather, we'd like to add to the conversation.
Yep, totally.
From both our study, but also our lived experience. And what we've seen. And so when we do this, we're not going, hey, we solved it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about ever talking about what a church is again.
Let's get on.
Just play this at Bible colleges. We've done it.
Forever.
So no, hopefully we add some value to what we're actually trying to do when we say church plant. But what's the church function? And so now I said that, solve it for us, Ralph.
Right.
What is the church?
Well, here's the answer. I know we've said there's no answers, but here's no. When we started Village, I discovered something that really held us to the idea of what we should do, right? Because the answer to what is a church is actually, well, what do we do as a church? Because traditionally it's like, well, we come together once a week for an hour and that's church, right?
Yes, yeah.
And we're all dissatisfied with that. But then how do you move forward? So Matthew 16:18, where Jesus is talking to Peter and says, get behind me, Satan. He says, I will build my church. And the word he uses for church is ecclesia. And the traditional understanding or translation of that word ecclesia is congregation, right? So it's the Sunday morning thing. But the cultural understanding of that word was really different. The cultural understanding of that word was like a protest. It was like a demonstration against the political powers. It was like, it wasn't quite a riot, but it was pretty pushing up there. So when they called the ecclesia, they called people out of their homes into the streets to demonstrate against decisions that politicians had made. And they knew that when they left their homes and went into that space, they were doing it at the risk of their lives. So it wasn't like now where it's fairly safe to go to a demonstration. It was, we could get killed quite probably from doing this. But we have to do it. We have to take this stand because the powers that be are making decisions that we cannot stand for. So Jesus uses that word to say, I will build my version of this.
Wow.
So then I go, okay, so what does that look like? Well, it looks like Jesus at the front leading this demonstration and saying, this way. But it's a demonstration. It's a rite of love. So it's not of power, it's not of destruction, it's not of violence, but it's of love as it moves through the city, saying, look how we can restore everything that is broken, everything that is poor, everything that has fallen to pieces. And so we jump in behind that, right? So I'm like, I'm following Jesus and I'm part of this ecclesia, this demonstration. He's leading it. I don't have to worry about that. But then I'm saying to others, you should join this.
This is good.
And so come and be part of this. And where is that demonstration headed? Well, it's headed toward the gates of hell. Like the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And when you think about an ecclesia, a bit of congregation, and the gates of hell will not prevail, what have they got to prevail against? It's not moving. But when the demonstration, when the riot of God is moving through a city, those gates of hell are going to start to tremble because the church claims back things that hell has taken hold of and the evil has taken hold of.
I love that. And I love that the demonstration ended for Jesus. Well, tried to end on that cross.
Yeah.
And even the redefinition of that. So what was a violent tool to oppress.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people following Jesus at that time were disappointed because they wanted him to repay violence with violence.
That's right.
And instead, he suffers on it. He dies on it. He shows a different way.
He embraces it. Oh, I love the language of he swallows it up.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
He consumes it and then transforms it.
I've been thinking about that hamster wheel lately. I know we're a bit off topic, but he breaks the brokenness.
Yes.
So he doesn't just add brokenness to it, that kind of cartoony, here's a bigger gun.
Yeah.
Which is cartoon, but we're experiencing that in our world all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to break the whole system.
Yeah.
And now that cross, which was a political, oppressive Roman torture tool, we wear around our neck for hope. And
it's a symbol of freedom, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think for me, the church, when we talk definition, I think I love the Old Testament. I think we sometimes concentrate on the questionable verses and the stuff we're uncomfortable with rather than some of the beauty and how on earth did they come up with this?
Yeah. What's the foundation for the New Testament, right? You can't understand the New Testament without the Old Testament.
And I love the God literally says what his plan is to Abraham or the Israelites. In Exodus, he says, I want a royal priesthood.
Yeah.
And I love this. He doesn't mean I want an exclusive club. He says, I want a royal priesthood that can bless the nations. So he's like, and he does not mean a heap of just us pastors. You go, no, you're all priests.
Yeah.
He starts off with a nation. Hey, I want to rescue these slaves and make them into people that will bless everyone, show them a different way, walk through these gates of hell. It's right there.
Yeah.
And then somehow, and not everyone, and I know it's easy, it's like hanging fruit, but somehow we've turned this idea of this royal priesthood that he's always been trying to get, and now thanks to Jesus, open to us all to participate and be the representation of Jesus to people we know, love them, care for them, look after them, break those cycles, break those things down, bring hope. And we somehow turn that around to I attend church.
Yeah.
Or, gee, the last song just before communion wasn't my favorite. And we all do it. No one realizes no one's more critical of their own church service than a pastor.
Yeah, so true.
But, how did we just got off.
Yeah.
If that's what the church is articulated, how on earth did we turn it into, I'm not going to attend today? What do you mean? You are the church.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that tension?
It's so true. Yeah. And the royal priesthood of all believers, when you look at the role of a priest, the priest was kind of to intercede between the people and God, to say, you're all right with God, and to say to God, forgive them. And it's the role of the evangelist. And it's the role of every Christian follower, every follower of Jesus, that says what does it look like for me to be the priest to my neighbor?
I love that.
It's challenging, right? So rather than throw the dog poo back over the fence, or get mad because I haven't cut the tree down, or go to war, it's actually say, I'm their priest. Like,
I love it.
How does that relate and challenge me? And I think in church planning world, those questions are so raw. They're so in your face. They're so palpable on a daily basis. I think firstly because there's not many people in the room. And so you all know everybody really well, and you know how you behave to your neighbor, and how you shop, and what sort of driver you are, and how you are at work, and your personality. And so when this stuff's talked about and wrestled with, you're like, oh, geez, this is a bit more uncomfortable than being in a big room where I can get away with no one knowing me. This is okay. And so it becomes a real challenge of I am the priest. And then there's the fact that because there's not many of you, there's this sense of we've got to get this stuff right. We got to do it. Because if we don't, there's a bigger church that's going to. And we know the priest in this situation, and he's useless. He's as vulnerable and useless as me. So, we all take on this priesthood. So I think church planning gives this perfect example or expression to go, I can really step into the fullness of what it means for me to be a New Testament priest.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that does speak to what we'll be speaking this whole podcast about. But just that, why you should church plant. because this church is active. I have this little saying, I don't know if you've seen the meme on the internet, but it says, are you a battleship or are you a cruise ship? And I said this little line at my church, and you ready for this? I'm proud of this.
Come on.
But I'm also, this is the most dad joke I'm probably going to say. It's episode 2.
Dad jokes,
we're not a battleship. We're not a cruise ship.
You built it up.
We're a fellowship. And so
forgive him.
Yeah, when I said that,
good.
Oh well, I've never got a audible.
That
like
it
wasn't
succeeded.
No, it wasn't wow. It was Steve,
yeah,
come on. But let me explain why. So community by definition, and I'm okay using the word community, but it is based around something.
Yes.
It's unified, common unity around something.
Yeah, good.
Fellowship. I know the mental image, at least for me, if you've grown up in churches, look, we're going to have a fellowship morning tea, which is just...
With international roast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Instant coffee, burnt instant coffee, and everyone has to be over a certain age. Nothing against being over a certain age, but we're going to have that and pink bun from the bakery.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have some fellowship.
Oh, that's a good, yes.
But
taking me right there.
The definition of fellowship is actually unified around a purpose.
Yeah, I love it.
And so it is a ship. It is moving somewhere.
Yeah.
And the church is unified around, yes, Jesus, but his purpose.
Yeah.
And you're right. Of course, big church absolutely can still be unified around his purpose.
Yep.
But there's something about a church plant. Yeah. There's something about moving into those grounds that it just becomes, you can't ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just go, I didn't connect with God this week because the sermon wasn't that great. When you're in a church plant, you're right. There's no hiding. The pastor's not hiding. Yeah, it's cutting edge. Yeah. It's right on the. What do we do with some of my favourite questions around Burley, Church Christ, and the church plant was, what on earth? How's this for a question? Silly, but fun. What on earth do we do? Because we're seeing so many dogs come to church.
Yeah, right.
That was a question we
really?
legit
like
had.
Actual dogs.
Yeah, because the more we connected with the community.
Real dogs.
Like
fluffy things.
We had 5 dogs in a service once, and one was barking through my sermon.
Oh, yeah, we had one of them. Yeah.
And because the pets are now people's children these days, and they're coming.
Parents or something.
And especially the people we've been connecting with at Burley Heads, Church Christ, some of them were support dogs.
Oh, yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah.
And what do you do with that? So we had, I couldn't believe it. It's fun though, right? But we had a conversation around what's our dog policy of church.
Nice.
But messier stuff than that. What do we do when someone comes in and they're high? Yep. What do we do with that when someone comes in and have completely, what do we do when someone comes in and they're dressed a certain way?
Yeah. We had a story when we first started Village. We used to have like a cup of tea and coffee on the sidebar, and any point in the service you could just grab it, right? So it was a pretty laid back, chilled service. And so we had this homeless dude that came in, and the hospitality of God was shown to him. So some people went to him, just cared for him, looked after him, said, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" And he looked over and went, "Oh yeah." And he walked up and he grabbed the carton of milk, and then slugged half of it back, and then plonked it down, and everyone's looking and going, "Oh, now we've got no milk," and then walked out. And it was just like, "Oh, I didn't see that. Didn't see that coming." Like,
and did you go get milk after drinking it all, Ralph?
Yeah. I'd have my milk.
But I know.
Oh, hang on, it doesn't. How's that work?
I know these sound silly, but this is the beautiful work of seeing. I'll just give you another story. We had someone, and you don't often get the completion of the story in church plant. You're doing your part.
Yep.
However, every now and then you're like, this is why. We had a young lady that was actually literally sleeping in our church during a big cyclone we had. Yep. Fearful, wasn't talking to anyone, had to have her own room because we had a few people sleeping during one cyclone, so was homeless. Yep. And long story short, about a year, 2 later, after disappearing, coming back, but she just got baptized the other week.
How good's that?
And she's actively helping in that same space serve people.
Yep.
She's confident. She's talking. She's been involved, and that's the messy conversation at first was, how on earth do we house someone legally in our church during and her counsel was on board on that, if anyone's listening at that time. And how do we separate her? How do we make sure she's protected? Yeah. What do we do with her? What if she gets cross at us, angry at us? What if she accuses? Like, it's all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's gross. It's like, I didn't learn that at Bible college
No,
on 101 on having people sleep in your church
No.
or drinking your milk or bringing dogs.
Yep.
But, what it teaches
Yeah,
you,
it does,
but
eh?
also your people.
Yep.
And they'll see on their face, wow, God can do that.
Yeah.
Her life's been changed forever because of Jesus.
So good.
And so, look.
Well, here's the some larger churches. So if you listen to this and you're part of a larger church, one of the challenges larger churches have is to pivot missionally. And so they get stuck in this, I'm hungering for more than just the Sunday morning, but the Sunday morning is so good. Like, how do I balance that? And some of those larger churches aren't at the space or the development to say, let's plant a church. And what I would say is to ask the question, well, where is local mission happening around us, and how can we contribute to that? What are the church plants that are happening in our city, like that whole ride in the city, that are happening in our city that we can get behind, that might be outside of our denominational walls. It might be beyond our normal reach, but we can go and we can pray for them, or we can contribute some resources, or we can send some people. Or I would love to see cities around Australia that see a church plant, and it doesn't matter what denomination it is, and saying we have something we can contribute to that, whether it's people or resources or prayer or whatever, and we want to get behind it, because when that happens, that church plant becomes an extension of that church's ministry.
Yes.
As opposed to it being like, it's a thing they're doing, or they're stepping on our territory, or all those silly things that do occupy our minds, that as much as we might say, we're beyond that, we're not. But if we partner with, they become part of our reach.
I love it.
An extension.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so important.
And I think that's important to note. So we're talking about what is a church purpose. It's important to know. And obviously this is a lot about church planting. But like you said, I think it's important to acknowledge, if you're listening to this, you're part of a large church, fantastic. We're not looking at, but what can you do? What can you partner with locally, missionally? Your call may not be to go plant a church. That's okay.
Yeah.
Please, let this be permission to have a crack where you're at. I love your neighbour idea. Yeah. I've said before, you often pray, you might have noisy neighbours partying all the time, and you're like, God, please send somebody. And he has. It's you. Yeah. And so wherever you are, you can plant something. You can be part of something. And then the other side of that, I'm just thinking, maybe you're part of a church that isn't large, but isn't functioning the best. And maybe it's scary times, you're losing numbers, things are going down. Maybe you're part of leadership there. Maybe you're just part of it and go, I don't even know want to stay. I don't know what to do. I don't know the answer for whether you stay or not. That's not what I'm talking about. Can I encourage you to just to have permission to try something new?
Yeah. Yes.
So just because that's what you've always done for 1,000 years, journey with your church and try something new. Yeah. What do they say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again without a different result. Try something new. Do something. And if it's not supported by your church necessarily, just have a go at something. I know as a pastor, and not all pastors are the same, but how much better is it if someone comes to you, Ralph, and goes, I've got an idea for you to do. Or, hey, Ralph, I've been inviting my neighbours over for dinner once a week. They're connecting. They've been asking me questions because apparently I live really differently to them, and I'm generous, and we don't swear, and we're not partying every weekend, only every second weekend. I don't know what it is. They've noticed a difference. They've got questions. What do I do? How much more are you smiling that day as you talk through maybe Alpha with that person or equipping them, equipping the saints, than if they go, Ralph, I've got this idea. Can you do that?
Yeah, that's right.
Which one do you like more?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that idea, like first episode, we talked about starting something new.
Yes.
That when you look at the biblical word for new, there's kind of two words that exist. One is about, I think it's called nuos, and that word is about doing something brand new, like in time. And the other one is kainos, which is about doing a brand new kind of thing.
Love it.
So there's this idea of we've been around church has been around for 2,000 years. There's not too much new stuff that we're ever going to invent, right? But the question is, well, what is God calling you to do that's new in your time?
Oh, I love it.
And new for your community or for your thing. And I think that's where church planning springs out of.
It's good.
This space of God has called me to this thing that I have to think a different way, and I have to lead a different way, and I have to process it a different way. And they're all skills that I need to learn. I've never been prepared for, but I have to adapt myself because there's this thing that God wants to do that's outside of what I've done before. But he needs that to reach a world that the current church has never been able to reach.
I love it. I love it.
Like we've got, well, I'd say 10% of people in churches. Like that's generous. So 90% of the Australian population has yet to be reached by a church.
Yeah.
Now, to what you like with those stats, but the church, we need more new expressions of church.
Yes.
To connect with people who are unconnected with at the moment.
I love it. And as we've been speaking about, and I love that when you apply that definition that we've just explored, then you're saying, hey, that 90%, it's not about, hey, come to us.
Yeah.
It's going, hey, how do we connect with them? How do we gather people around Jesus in our networks and neighborhoods? And so, look, that's lovely and conceptual. How does Village Church, how does your church, Ralph, how do you attempt to be the church, not just to say, hey, come and attend our church, be the church in Burleigh Heads where you're located?
Well, we went hard into this. When we started, we said that was our definition. To be the church on mission. Like it was just to move into that space. So we gave not much consideration to what the Sunday looks like. And we're always willing to use the Sunday to go on mission as well as throughout the week. So one of the first things I did when I arrived is I went, so 50 years ago, the church used to be the hope and the centre of communities, and it no longer is. Where is that in Burleigh? And as I looked around and walked around, I was struck with two options. One was the surf club. The other was the school, primary school. And so I emailed both and I said, hey, we're a new church in town. We'd love to help in what you do, whatever it is, like, let us know. The school, 10 minutes later, phoned me and said to me, we would love to invite you to be on the PNC, which is Parents and Citizens Group in a public state school. And I said, done. So then Little comes home from work and she goes, how was your day? I said, amazing. I've joined a PNC. She goes, oh, that's wonderful. I said, the problem is I have no idea what a PNC is. Like I didn't even know what the PNC stood for. And Little's been involved in schools, so she was able to educate me. And then we got involved. I'm still waiting for the surf club to email me back. But that wasn't important. But it was just like, that is the eager heart. Now, we then, as a church, pull alongside a school and say, we have a ton of volunteers, and the thing school needs frequently is a ton of volunteers. And so now we have volunteers that are involved in the different concerts that we have, in the different leadership decisions that go on in the school, the Brekkie Club that we run, different fundraisers. And what I love is the PNC, those who aren't Christians, those who don't go to church, they frequently say to me, without the church, we couldn't do this.
That's
like,
amazing.
Oh, come on. Because that's that question that haunts me. If your church left the community, would the community miss it? Like I hate that question as much as I love it. It's just
it's scary
because it's challenging. And then, I mean, we've started an op shop. You guys have been well ahead with the op shop stuff. Tell us about the op shop.
Yeah, so the op shop was formational for me. So I walked into a church that had an op shop, and that was part of the appeal. Whilst a social worker, we knew that whatever we did, it would have some element of connection with the community, but I was still very green. And so we were, as spoke about last week, was a replant. So the culture at the church had meant it shrunk down to about to close. Yep. What I didn't anticipate, and this is a bit fun, challenging, is it was actually a replant of the op shop as well.
Yeah, right.
So it was just selling clothes in a non-safe way.
Yep.
In a very toxic environment.
Yep.
And so literally there was, again, we want to talk openly about the battle here and the Hell's Gates, as you spoke about. I'd walk in some days and go, which battle am I battling today? The toxic clothes store we run that just is there to make money and not much because people don't want to come there and they're sorting through their own clothes. And it was very dangerous. Some of the volunteers, very questionable. Yep. Or do I want to battle the church this week? Which was mostly Sunday-centric.
Yep.
So completely different worlds. And again, lots of prayer. Not what I anticipated when I heard Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast. I was thinking,
come on.
How hard can it be, honestly, arrogantly? God is so good at church planning, will humble you in all the right ways. And so, but what we found, and a lot of research, a lot of praying, in touch with a lot of different thinkers and around this stuff, what we found is thanks to some very questionable stuff that's going up shop, we closed it down.
Yeah, well, it's great.
And then when we reopened, at least had grown with the wisdom to say, this is the church.
How long was it closed down for?
We closed it down for a couple of months.
Yeah, right.
Which, can I just say, looking back, of course, because there was some questionable volunteers and I didn't know them, we were getting to know them, we're starting to raise our policy. And but can you imagine this? You're a church that's already not surviving budget-wise, and you're just going to take it wasn't a cash cow, but to them, it was a cash calf.
Yeah.
Oh, you're crazy. Like, you're a crazy
What are you
person.
doing? Yeah.
Lucky we had some support. People were journeying with us.
Yep.
Took it down, reopened it, and said unapologetically, this is now the church.
Yeah.
Not a church. We talked about this a little bit last week, and we're talking about this. This is not just a church.
Yeah.
It's part of the church. It's when people walk in here.
Yep.
You can volunteer at Op Shop, Christian or non-Christian.
Yeah, yeah.
But everyone knows, and I've said this last time, I was going to say it nearly every episode, people are in danger of meeting Jesus.
Yeah, yep.
And can I say, and again, this is not just success stories, but 9 years later, and I want to say about 7 years after starting, almost quitting, almost gone, I don't know if this is working. Why is everyone fighting on every decision, both church and Op Shop? It has informed to the point, the main way people are finding Jesus is through this Op Shop and food help thing.
Yeah, how good's that?
And we are having consistent baptisms.
Yep.
People are walking into the Op Shop, getting a bit of food support or buying some clothes. We still sell it at Op Shop prices. And I love this line, this tickle. They go, because I think they know deep down.
Yeah.
They go, even the biggest cynic goes, I don't go to church. I don't really like church, but this is what the church should be.
Yeah, well.
And so that mission, I always look at it like when Jesus says, hey, where were you when I was thirsty? Where were you when I was hungry? I think there's a two side to that.
Yep.
One, what we do, the least of these we're doing for him.
Yep.
That's because he says it.
Yep.
The second part of that, when you're in your purpose, when you reach out, who are you going to find? You find Jesus.
Yep.
And I think a church with a strong mission
Yep.
is going to find Jesus and actually find an identity.
Yeah.
So the church, in doing what they do, in that fellowship, in that purpose, in that storming the gates of hell, they actually find out who they are.
Yeah, that's right.
Rather, who would have thought it's not just in a boardroom discussing, doing another review, trying to work out what's our vision and mission, not against that.
Yeah. It's the unified sense though, isn't it? It's like, I've always felt that the church, like, so talking about, say, globally or city-wise, the church is at its most unified when it's on mission together.
Yes. Amen.
Rather than like, we don't need to sit down around a cup of coffee of instant international roast and go, hey, what do you think about the world? This is what I think about the world. Can we agree on this stuff? If we're like, let's go against evil, we're just going to be bound together, right?
Yes.
Because we're like, I don't care about that stuff. You got my back. I got your back. Let's go.
Yes.
And I think church plants are so well positioned, and they have to start in that missional sense. Yep. They have to start with a sense of, well, how do we connect with, meet, convert, bless, help our local community? Because if they don't, it's a 6-month project and then you're done. But there's this sense of who has God called us to be? How has God positioned us? What are the needs in the community? I remember when we first started Village and I met with the counsellor, local Gold Coast counsellor, and got a meeting with her and walked in, and I'd never had one of these meetings ever before. And I just don't have much appreciation for hanging out with bigwigs. Anyway.
Because you're a bigwig.
Because, of course. I mean, just look at the subscriber count on this.
That's right, on episode 1 alone. So,
and we walked in the door, and she opened the thing and she said, "What can I do for you?" Like, in a nice way, like, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Nothing. I want to ask you the question of what we as a church can do for you."
Oh, man.
And she kind of went like, and then closed the book and pushed it to the side. And with a meeting where we had like 30 minutes, we spent an hour and a half telling me all the things that were the challenges that local council had in the Burleigh, Miami region, that I'm like going, oh, we can help with that. We can do that. We can do this. And that's a really good lead. And it was just so helpful to get that inside scoop on understanding who our community was. And I've long held that as church planters, we have a real responsibility to know our communities and not just know people in them, but know the things that keep people up at night, know the things that terrify people, know the things that are their idols, know the things that consume their time or money or creativity. Because if we know them, we can say, this is the gospel in response to that stuff you're either running from or you're chasing toward. You have this other option. Yeah.
It's Paul that walks through in Acts, that walks through and sees the many idols, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, in Athens.
Love that line.
Yeah.
In Athens, he sees the many idols, and then he says, I can see in every way you're very religious.
Yeah, that's right.
He's spent enough time, and this is the fun of planting or creating something new. Again, not new in the universal sense, but new in that you haven't existed before. This time hasn't existed before. What does Christ have to say?
Yep.
And as he walks around, he sees, these guys are very religious.
Yep.
I'll address this one idol that says, we're so religious, we want to cover everything and say to the unknown God.
Yeah.
And he points at that.
Yep.
And I love that idea going, hey, here's the gap. Let me point you to Jesus.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, it looks like you're trying to do this.
Yep.
Let me point you to Jesus. Because he's the fulfillment of probably what that gap is.
Yeah.
And again, that's what's encouraged when you're starting something new, when you're trying something new, when you're church planning.
Yeah.
Here's my big, if I could go, but here's my big but. So
Steve's big butt is coming your way right now.
Here it is. So I found, and I want to hear what you think about this. So we're kicking goals in this op shop.
Yeah.
We're talking every Sunday about this op shop and food help. And then I start to notice that those in our church that are doing other things are rolling our eyes a bit because we're not actually addressing, what if you're a school teacher? You can't volunteer op shop. Is that the only way this church? So there's broader mission. There's a broader church going on. Yep. That's one thing.
Yep.
The second thing I notice is my decisions that I'm making start to sound more like I'm a CEO of a non-for-profit.
Yeah.
I'm more leading a surf club.
Yep.
I'm more leading a manager of an op shop all of a sudden.
Yep.
And there's something in me that goes, there's something missing here. There's we're maybe out of balance. It's not this is what's so hard. It's not evil to help people. But suddenly our budget for food goes up.
Yeah.
Suddenly we've got more people coming for more things and we're just handing out stuff.
Yep.
Have you faced that?
Yep.
And what do you think it says about church and balance?
Yeah. It's such a good question because I think it's so key to the church planning world, that question. And it's a question we need to grapple with, and it's good to be grappling with it because it means you're doing a bunch of really good stuff. Like it means you're being missional to grapple with things. We went through an interesting season at Village where I'm not real proud of this, but I wasn't sure of the value of the preached word.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm a preacher, right?
Yeah.
I love preaching. I'm gifted. God has gifted me. How I steward that gift is up to the congregation to interpret.
Yeah.
But I went through a season of going, how important is it that we even gather, that we worship together, that we preach, that we do the church Sunday stuff?
Yeah.
And what can happen is you can rebel against this Sunday gathering, this service thing, into mission, and with this self-righteousness.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, we've got it right.
I've sorted it.
And I remember reading through Acts and going, Paul preached all the time. Peter preached all the time. And why did they preach? They preached to encourage, to remind, to convert, to help people be discipled, to understand the scriptures, and really felt this growing conviction that I needed. We were still doing it, right? But I was like, we'll just get to that after we do all this mission stuff.
Yeah.
So the mission stuff was like the main meal, and then the Sunday thing was dessert. And I'd say to people, if you want to come on Sunday, great, but let's do this. And I just had this growing conviction of, no. Enthroning the King is so essential to our mission. If we're not coming together to say, Jesus, you are Lord of all and you're King of kings, and I worship you and I adore you and I love you, and this is the rightful place in the centrality of my life, and we're not doing that as a community, our mission turns in, no offense to the Rotary Club, but turns into a local Rotary Club.
Yeah, that is good.
Because you can't sustain the gospel in your mission if you're not worshipping Jesus. You just can't, because
Yes, that's good. I love Romans 12. It gives a definition. I believe it's Romans 12. Gives the definition of what is true and proper worship.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a response. It's a response. It's offering your body as a living sacrifice.
That's right.
So it's a response to the grace known and given. Then you go and you do mission or you worship. But you need to also be renewed by that grace and that response and God's will first.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, though. I appreciate your honesty, and I'm the same. I still struggle with Sundays.
Yeah.
This is a church pastor that's ran nearly 15 years between two congregations, helped out in church worship services, and I still struggle.
Yeah.
And I'd often say this cheeky line at my church that Friday, when we offered the food help and all that, was my favourite church day. And one way I was setting vision. But two, I realised I started using it as almost like a complaint about Sunday.
Yeah.
Because all I felt like I was getting on Sunday is, we'll play our favourite songs. And I was challenged, and it was two things. One thing, I was challenged by one of our guys came along and he asked, he was a person who'd done some work cover for us.
Yeah.
And funny enough, his first day he says, "You'll never get me to church." I was half joking. I can't believe I'm volunteering at a church. Anyway, he caught the mission caught on. And he's like, "This is amazing." And he said to me, "Can I come on a Sunday?" And I want to confess this. I was like, yeah, like in my head, that's the goal, right? Isn't it? But I was like, keep doing what you're doing. Like maybe come to our small group we run after on Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe keep that missional community vibe. And he comes Sunday, and I did preached. And he comes up to me after, and this is not a reflection on my preaching, but he goes, "What was that, Steve?" I said, "That was a sermon or a service or what? Which part?" "When you were talking, what was that?" And he goes, he knows, and he points to a guy over there that's, it wasn't a particularly amazing sermon, wasn't particularly moving, but there was one other guy praying, just doing some business with God at the end of the service where everyone else went from morning tea. He goes, he gets it. He's got it. And I go, "Are you talking about the Holy Spirit?" He goes, "I think I am." And he was shaking.
Yeah, wow.
He goes, "When you were speaking directly to me." He was kind of, what was that magic? What was that power?
Wow.
What was the thing you were doing? How did you do that? And I've never heard someone articulate who was so distant, the Holy Spirit hitting him.
Yeah, wow.
And I must admit, I got to repent of that. I was like, hang on. The Sunday encouragement, spurring one another, remembering that we're all sinners and that Christ died for us. We need to gather. And so I guess one half of that, next side of that is, what have I done about it? Well, I've admitted that Sunday's not my forte. I do enjoy preaching, but the countdown clocks, the aircon temperature, the song choice, not what drives me. And so, but from that point on, I made sure I was starting to equip people that did deeply care about the gathering. And so, and I changed my mind. It's got to be balanced. What
I think in me there was a sense of, I don't want to generate a opportunity where people come to consume spirituality.
Yes.
And I knew that mission didn't do that. But I knew that of all the things we do as a church, the Sunday gathering could be potential for that. And I think I almost threw the baby out with the bathwater. And when I went through this process and came out and realized, no, this is actually a beautiful, good thing we could do. One of the decisions that we made, and it's still language we use now, is Sunday. We're now Sunday morning. It used to be Sunday afternoon when we started. Now it's Sunday morning. But the language you use isn't about trying to achieve excellence or a certain standard or anything. The language that we use is, how do we decrease as much as possible the distractions from people meeting God?
I love it.
And as a result, it's still pretty scrappy and it's still pretty messy, but there's a heart that sits right in the middle of the service that says, this is about Jesus. It's not actually about us or our perfection or any of that. It's actually about us being a relational place where you can feel like, I'm with friends. I can be vulnerable before God, and then inviting God into that space.
I love it.
And I think that's come out of that challenge, that struggle, that journey of, how does mission and worship work together.
Beautiful. No, and I think this is important now we go back to that church purpose, but also the church planning space. Because if you're a church planner, you're part of a church planning team, or you're starting something new and missional, it's really important to acknowledge that, right? That you are gifted in a certain way. I think of the body in Ephesians, and I think of all the legs. It talks about us as being a church as a body, and I think about all the arms. And I thought about all the ears, and I think we get in the danger of being, maybe you're a hand, and you're like, I love the mission. Don't knock yourself for that, but admit you're part of the body.
Yes.
And so the danger I think that both of our churches, if I can say, have faced is that maybe we're hands and our church became only hands welcome here. But what about all the other parts of the body?
Yeah, that's right.
And so I want to encourage anyone listening or watching this, if you're feeling like, hey, I don't relate to these guys, or I want to start something, but I really care about the music and the environment they're walking into. Go for it.
Yeah, that's right.
We need that gifting, but then surround yourselves with a balance. And this is the holistic, beautiful. This is why we can't just be solo people churches. It'd be easy, and we get everything we want. And we'd enjoy what we say, and everyone would agree with our political views and everything. But it's a table, right? The many people coming around, all broken, many parts, unified to the purpose of Jesus.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so, but that's so hard because anyone who's done group work ever in a university assignment knows how much it sucks, but it's also beautiful. Hey, just a quick interruption to the podcast. Hope you're enjoying it. But just a big shout out to our sponsor for this episode, the Kenmore Institute for Church Planting. The Kenmore Institute is offering what is currently one of the only church planting university level awards in diploma, bachelor and masters. And so if you're curious, if you're inspired by this podcast and want to learn more and be part of a community of church planters, then go to acom.edu.au and check the show notes for more information. Get in touch, and we'd love to see you a part of it. And so that balance, I think one other comment I'd make, this is more in church world, there was this real era, and I think this is really important to talk about church planting. There was a real era of kind of when I was younger around missional communities. They started saying these guys, these thinkers were doing like, hey, we're going to start a church in a coffee shop and we're going to start a church in a surf club and we're going to start a church here. And I don't think they meant to, and a lot of them admitted this. They said, this is the way to do church. We're not doing mega church. We're not doing this church. Where I think we've reached, and I think this is the beauty of where we are at the moment, this cultural moment. A lot of those that had successes became institutionalized mega churches. And they've realized, oh, hang on, I'm doing an order of service all of a sudden. And gone, no, each for their place and season. It's not this and that. It's just get on with it. Move with it. How do you keep that balance? How do you keep that balance, and what do you think?
It's like there's a church ecosystem in a city, right?
Yes.
And for that to be sustained, it needs churches of all flavors, of all denominations, and of all sizes.
Yes.
And of all theologies, providing they're not heretical, right?
Yes.
Because there is such a diverse need in the community that people need to find what works for them for the season that they're in.
Yes.
And if we understand ourselves as that's the church, there's a security comes with that of when people leave my church and go to your church, it's actually okay. They're not moving the church because they're part of the church. They're just going, this is the expression for this season, or this is where God's calling me to be in. And I think that helps. That we run the risk of dismissing church expressions that are not in our sweet spot. In that, what we're doing is saying to God, oh God, what you tried to do over there, good try. That's not really good. But what you're doing here is great. It's horrific and filthy, right? It's just like, but we do it without knowing. And I think church planning, you really see that and feel that. Like, you're thrown into the trenches of that space, of when people leave your church and they go to another church. You're like, that's a win. Like, that's a great win. We've got a joint youth group. Like our churches, we'll probably talk about this, but I remember the conversation where I said, oh, we've got too many young people, no leaders. And you said, we've got too many young adults who are leaders and no kids. I'm like, joint youth group time. And it's exactly what we did. What was that, 7 or 8 years ago? Yeah. And the thing's booming. Yes. Like, it's crazy. And kids are coming to faith and all that. But never in our relationship was there a sense of us and them. It was a we.
No.
And what I've discovered is the power of the we, of like, and I tell people about this youth group and they go, wow, that's incredible. And then I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it shouldn't be a wow.
It should be incredible.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so, I think God is teaching us as a church in Australian context a lot. And we're slowly coming to that place of agreeing, but I think you learn it a lot quicker in church plant world because you have a lot less. It feels like there's a lot more on the line. It feels like there's a lot more pressure. There's tons of insecurity. Yeah, you're more open to it.
I do want to share, this is a little bit separate, but I think it's important to just name these moments. How cool. So we do a combined youth group. I'm sure we'll spend an episode talking more about that and how do you approach that, that kingdom mindset. But both done this for about 9 years in our current assignments. Yep. And our oldest daughters go to this youth group and are excited. Mine has to currently balance that with dance, but she's so excited.
It's crazy.
I just want to speak that if people think building, 9 years of building, tough seasons, tough things. My kids were babies when we started. Literally had one newborn, and now my oldest goes to a youth group and is excited about meeting. I actually peeked through the window it was at that week. I was at your church. Peeked through the window. She was sitting in a group. And I got a bit teary. I was like, thank you, God, for letting me participate in something that's going to change my daughter's life. And I don't run a youth group.
That's right.
There's nothing to do with me.
And it was bizarre.
But I got to be part of it
because we both turned up. to pick up our girls, and we both turned up as parents. I don't know about you, I was just like, this is a weird space to be in. Like, because I've been a leader in that youth group with the pastors of those churches, and I'm like, I'm just a dad, and you look across, and the girls are sitting with their leader, and you're just like, Zari, she's grade 7, and she says to me the other day, oh, Dad, when are you going to give me a flyer that explains the church? I'm like, what? She goes, I'm inviting all these people to church, but I've got nothing to give them.
I love it.
And then she's got 5 or 6 of her mates that come from school completely devoid. And what I love about that is like her flair and passion for evangelism. But what I love about it is she goes, this thing I've been involved in and I've grown up in, is something my friends need. Like, without me telling her, she's worked it out, that God's in the middle of this thing, and that she's then gone, it's so important that I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and invite these kids that have nothing to do with church or religion or spirituality or anything and say, you need to come to this, and then pester them. I'm just like, man, who'd have thought that would be the story that when we started, we'd be telling, because you never think about that stuff.
No, and I think it's important to name it because someone people might be listening, might have kids and go, we don't care about your dad's stories. Thanks, guys.
That's right. Yeah, apologies. We're just dabbling.
And I used to get heap frustrated when I'd hear preachers talk about their kids. I don't care.
So
but wait till you have kids and then come and apologise because it is life-changing. But I say that to just say that you're just the fruit of the foundation you're laying, the ground you're ploughing. You reaching out will have this effect long term, more than you'll ever know. And every now and then you'll get glimpses and it's worth it. No other work, or I'm not comparing it, but no other job, no other mountain climb. You might get certainly more money. You might certainly even get more influence or perceived influence or credibility, but no other work will see lives changed for eternity.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's every now and then it's just a nice moment going, oh, thank you, God, for letting me participate. So back to pivot away from our dadding, which will be plenty more dadding.
That's good.
We're talking about this balance of what the church is, what we favour, what our gifting might be in. I want to talk about a little tool that I
you
can
go for
offer
it.
a tool.
Please,
And so
yes.
really simple, and that's why I like it. There's a guy, Mike Breen, he's done some thinking around UK. He was doing some missional community stuff and thinking through. It's been really helpful for me. And so basically he draws a triangle and there's an up, there's an in, and there's an out.
Cool.
Real basic, but maybe oversimplification, but so helpful.
Oh, I'm all for simple.
Yeah, that's it. So he talks up is worship, up is your connection with God, up is that discerning, that prophetic, that connection between you and God. In, community, deeper relationships. So relationship with God, relationship with each other. And then out is your outwards community, mission work.
Nice.
And he proposes that us as individuals and in this context as a community will likely be able to name our A.
Yep.
If you think of grading system,
A.
Yep.
So what you're really good
B,
at.
and a C. And it has been so helpful for me once I heard that and started to realize, hey, maybe we're out of balance to say to my church team, maybe it's a planting team or maybe just myself, go, hey, if I look at myself, A is I love talking about Jesus with people. I love trying to figure out ways to connect with them. So the out is going to rate highly. I also love people, so the community is probably going to be a B. Do you know what? I'm very busy. I'm very distracted. They're sitting down and just reading the Bible just for me, not for a sermon. They're praying. They're being quiet. And listening. That personally, I'm not great at that. It needs work. And you know what? My church actually reflects that.
Wow.
And so if I was to ask them, I reckon they'd say, hey, our community's okay. We're strong on a mission. Do you know what? We don't do a lot of prayer nights. We don't do a lot of biz. And so what's it for you? If you were to look at your church now
It's just that insight at the end is so helpful because if you want to change your church, you change yourself, right?
Yes.
Like, because I know it's hard to change yourself. You're the hardest person to lead. But instead of trying to change like all the people in front of you, you go like, well, let me go through a season of me reorientating this because our church needs this. So I'm going to reorientate. It's funny. When we started Village, it was inward. So it was all community because we were pulling people together. So we went inward and a bit of upward. So A would be inward, bit of upward B, and C, there was no outworking because we were just like forming together as a team. We launched and we went straight from that configuration to outward was A, and probably inward was B and God was C. And then 9 years later, we've gone through a lot of chapters, which we'll unpack in the coming episodes. But I would say right now, we would be, I'd want to say A would be inward, so community. And then B would be outward and C would be upward. And I have had a growing conviction and urgency that we need to move our A to upward, not because that's the correct answer, but because for the season we're in and moving into, that's the stuff that's going to enable us to be all that God wants us to be.
Good. It's really good. I'll take it. I would say also that body picture. So reorientate, lead yourself, have the self-awareness to go, hey, this is where I lean.
So important.
But then surround yourselves with people. This is why it's good. And I've become more and more thankful for the people in my church. It's normally a spiritual warrior, older lady. It's not always. And she'll be like, where's our prayer nights? What are we doing? What are we praying? And you know what? A younger Steve, many versions of Steve ago would have been like, that's annoying. We've got no time to pray. Let's get on with it. I've now realized that voice and that, whatever your theology, whether it's fivefold, whether you need this different gifting body, whatever, however you come to this, there's certainly, you need others that are questioning, asking and challenging towards this stuff. And a great assessment is to get them all to assess their own things. And again, here's a tool, because I've been to a bunch of, here's a secret no one wants you to know around when you walk into like staff meetings or board meetings or what on earth are you talking about? You just go, what's everyone doing? Here's one that'll win. get a whiteboard, draw this triangle.
Yeah, nice.
And I go, what are you doing? You're showing us some sacred geometry stuff? No, just
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's it. Do this ABC.
Yeah.
Go, I want you to assess yourselves individually.
That's good.
One, you'll learn about your team.
Yeah.
Because there'll be one that goes, A is the most, up is the most important.
Yeah.
And then normally you're discerning, you're prophetic, you're prayer warriors.
Yeah.
Some will go, I want community, I need community. And they're like, your welcome team or your pastoral care.
Yeah, yeah.
And some are missional. And so it is an oversimplification, but then ask, where do you think the church is at?
Yeah.
And so that's a little hot tip for church planters, but any season.
Yeah.
But I would say, so I just share a little bit of my journey thus far. I would say I got to the point, so people listening to this may not know, but I've, finished off at my church. And part of that was actually due to this. Is it not that they asked me to leave because I was too missional, but I realised, hey, this church and this leadership in this season right now, I've got these bends to me that I love and some of that I can adapt. But I dared ask the question after some long service leave, and I'll unpack the journey another time. But I said, God, what does the church need?
Yeah.
Wow. And it was a very clear, for me, for that season, hey, right now it needs a different type of leader. It's a different type of church. It's grown into this.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, wow. And I did feel like God said, I've got some stuff for you here that's in that space and this drive and this part of your body, but it needs now somebody that can and honestly, for me, it was actually the up and the in.
Yeah.
I feel like there was an out push that I was passionate about, and it was almost like God saying, hey, not for this church. This church doesn't need you to push too hard on that.
Yeah.
I think you need a seasoned leader that's more swings between in and up.
Yeah.
And time will tell if that was a good idea. No, absolutely no. Not time will tell. It feels like it is, but that's how powerful this stuff is.
Yeah,
assignments and seasons.
Yeah, and I think you raised stuff too about how we lead through those times. So when you start a church plant, you're like, it's the rally cry, like, let's take the hill, come on this vision, join. And then you find yourselves as a group of people, and you need to shift gears in your leadership.
Yes.
Because otherwise you just fatigue everyone. Like, charge. People go, we can't handle it anymore. I remember we hit COVID and everyone was forced to lead differently, right?
Yeah.
And so you became more of a shepherding leader.
Yeah.
And all your outreach was just digital.
Yeah.
And so you just looked after your people. I remember coming out of COVID and my supervisor said to me, that we're talking about leadership, like I've been leading. And I said to her, she goes, so are you going to change gear? What do you mean? She goes, well, if you keep leading this way, what's going to happen? I'm like, I've got to change gear. What does that even mean? And what does it look like?
That's good.
And I realized I'm like, I've got to drive things forward again. Like I've got to kick out of shepherding gear and go, okay. And it's almost, and it's the same for churches. Churches, like you just talked about, they go through seasons where they need different types of leadership.
Yeah.
And some of it's having the humility, and church planters are a classic of this. The reason you're a church planter is you're great at starting stuff.
Yeah.
And there might come a point at the 2, 3, 4 year mark where you go, I've done my job. My season's, I need somebody else to come in and pastor this church because I've started it up.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that.
No.
That's a beautiful thing. If your call is to start these things and get them established and then give them to somebody to run, all power to you. And I think the kingdom will be richer if we're self-aware, as you talked about before. If we're self-aware of what are my limitations, what are my skills and gifts, how has God put me together, what's he called me to do here, that I don't have to be the pastor. The pastor's is for the next 30 years.
Yes.
But that says, what does the church need? Can I bring it? Yes, I can. All right, this is how I need to.
Beautiful.
No, I can't. All right, I need to step aside and invite somebody or help the church find somebody that can.
And there is I've got to be careful. There's no formula. So I do want to articulate that the 4-year mark, I felt similar.
Yeah.
I actually had what I thought was like my dream job get offered to me around some stuff some missional stuff. And I was like, oh, this is it. And you know what? It wasn't. God said, no, I want you to shift and reinvent and change some things about you and grow through this, which is a person who loves new shiny things. That was so hard. But in that season, so I do want to make sure I say, hey, look, at 9 years, I've definitely felt a call out. But at 4 years, as someone who likes, I revisited that and he said, no, mate, you have another.
Yeah.
He didn't say them out, but he said, you have another season in this. And so that self-awareness, but juxtaposed with what we're talking about, the church purpose. What is the purpose?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's that balance in our up, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And so, I just want to encourage people that are listening. Again, the same that we'll probably do every episode. Have a crack.
Yeah.
Have a go.
Have a go.
Work out what your drive is. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how you've been created.
Yeah.
But then also pray for some community around you that have some different gifting.
Yep.
And so if you're listening to this, we're both obviously lean missional type of guys. Yep. If you're listening to this, you're like, like I said, hey, I'm a songwriter or I'm a musician and I love that creating beautiful and spaces. Oh, go for it. You're a church planter. That's I love systems. That is so not me. I'm not a systems guy. Someone might be like, I love administration. Go do that and then ask God for the body around it. And that's why going with people is important. When I first church planted, I thought, I'm so ashamed of this, but I thought, I'll be right no matter where I land. I'll have a crack. I wouldn't have lasted a year without the people that came with us.
Absolutely.
So, have you got any sort of closing thoughts as we wrap up? What is a church?
Yeah. I mean, just want to, you like the church is the body of Christ. And body as in like the metaphor of the body, but the body is in the group and gathering of people. And I love the idea, like church planting by its definition is people. Like the church is people going and establishing something new. And a couple of things around that. One is whoever God gives you, that will be enough, but you need them.
Yeah, I love that. Yes.
So don't feel like, every church pastor, you can ask, would you like some more gifted person to do something? And they will all have a list, right? We all have a list.
Yes.
Give me this or this or this or that. But the people you have is enough, but you need them.
Love it.
You can't not do with it.
Yeah.
And then I think, depending on where you answer that question of the A, B, and C, so the in, up, out, I want to, and I know this is your heart, I really want to be clear that if you're a B kind of church planter, if you're an inward kind of church planter, if that's your A, you should still plant.
Yes.
And if you're an upward, like that's your thing, and you're thinking, I'm not missional enough. No, you should still plant.
Yes.
Because the expression of that church plant will be so beautiful and so what the world needs that God will bring to you people that value community more than you might, or that value outreach more than you might. And you still should go with it. So do not hear the in, up, out as a disqualifying, but more of a clarifying and an empowering. This is how God's put me together at this stage and what I'm doing with the thing. And this is who I need around me. And this is a bias I have. So with a bias, as we've talked about all this episode, we can easily go, well, outward is the most important thing.
Yes.
It's not. Upward is. But it's not.
Yeah.
Inward is, but they all three have to be present for us to be healthy.
I love it. I absolutely, I look at some big organisational churches and go, how on earth do they organise all of that? Because there are some people gifted in that.
Complexity, hey.
Like we talked about a church that's at a park.
Yeah.
And how do you be gifted and bold enough to do that? And so, please, this is our main reason for this podcast is giving people permission to have a go. Yeah. Again, same stuff we said last time. Reach out to us.
Yep, please.
In the show notes, we're not just wanting you to consume this podcast. Contact us. Get in touch with us. Ask us questions. We're pretty open books.
Yeah.
And look forward to journeying again in our next episode.
It's been good.
Thanks again.
Yep. Appreciate it.